Ever wondered what happens when you dispute a charge to the company that you do business with? So I just wanted to go over today briefly a little bit about what happens when a charge gets disputed and what the business owner has to deal with whenever a customer might dispute one of the transactions that took place between them. So before we dive into this, I just want to stress, and I can't exaggerate it enough, please do your best to work out any disputes, or rather before they get disputes, any type of refund or any type of concession before it gets to dispute, because the dispute itself is a major headache for any business owner, myself included, and it's something that we always try to avoid, particularly myself, as I always want to maintain a good relationship as much as possible with the customer. In my particular business, the merchant processor that I use is Tribeca.com. Now keep in mind, not all merchant processors probably treat the disputes the exact same way, but the headache and inconvenience, I would imagine, is probably similar across the board. In our particular situation, I wanted to go over the typical protocol that I deal with when a dispute happens with Stripe.com. So when we're notified of a dispute, a few things happen within Stripe.com. Number one is the amount that we charged you is taken away from us, and I would imagine given back to the customer. Probably just depends on a particular bank that you're working with. Number two, we were hit with a $15 fee. Number three, the original charge, which isn't too much of the transaction, still stays. So the fee that we paid to the merchant processor, in this example, we don't get back. No, the charge was totally refunded at this point. So at Stripe.com, they usually give you about 2 to 3 weeks to fight the dispute that took place. And they give you an array of different options in which you can submit evidence to fight that particular transaction and why you feel that it was justified. Not really looking to settle this within Stripe.com, although it can sometimes unfortunately be the only option. We typically try to contact the customer as soon as possible and try to work it out between us and the customer and see what went wrong and see if we did make a mistake, and if we did, we obviously want to do our best to fix it. In the event that we cannot get in contact with the customer, it's really up to us at that point to determine whether or not we want to fight the dispute. As an example, and what I mean by that is occasionally there will be charges such as a water cooler rental, which is only $8 a month, and it may not be worth the hour or 2 hours to fight that dispute. So when it comes to evaluating the dispute itself, if the charge itself is only $8 or less than $10 or a really small amount, the amount of time it would take to fight the dispute, and what I meant by the headache when I said before, or that you'll deal with headaches as a business owner, sometimes it can even become a question as to whether or not I want to take the $8 fee plus the extra $15 in dispute fees. Sometimes it's not even worth it if I can't even get in contact with the customer. However, if I do decide to fight the dispute because the charge amount is greater or larger, or whatever the dollar amount is, it can be a little bit of a daunting process and not something that I enjoy doing, which is, again, and I know I said this before, but I heavily recommend you work any disputes out between you and the business owner before you contact the credit card company and try to resolve it as civilly as possible. When we decide to fight a dispute, and it comes down to submitting evidence between our GPS tracking on our truck and the few other sources and checks and balances that we have in place to ensure that a delivery was made and the product was sold, we're often able to submit it. And on occasion, we will win disputes, we will lose disputes. Sometimes we'll be very justified when we win, sometimes we'll be unjustified when we lose. You know, there's a whole handful of situations that could happen. Look guys, at the end of the day, the disputes for business owners are very huge headaches, and myself personally, because I'm so empathetic towards this, I try to dispute as little as possible throughout my life and try to always work it out with the business directly. I encourage heavily that you guys do the same with whoever you do business, whether it's us or anybody else out there. Anyways, my name is Mark. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're interested in water delivery between New York, New Jersey, and California, click the link below. We'd be happy to work with you.